MidlandMidland here. Now, we got ourselves a simple review. Well, I hope it's simple. Now, this locomotive has been out for already a year now, but annoyingly, we don't get any of the new stuff until like October here in New Zealand, so bear with me here. And I've been putting off this review for months because I got this one back in December of 2020, so yeah, been a while. But here it is. The Princess Royals. The locomotive that went up against Grizzly's A1s and A3s. And I say that because at the time, these were first outshopped. A good number of the Grizzly's A3s were still in their A1 body, well, designations, as it were. They were not rebuilt yet. So, I'm going to give this a fair review. And hopefully my curse of the LMS doesn't kick in again. And if you want to know what I mean by that, my 8F and 4F locomotives might be good examples. Yeah. Still, gotta keep positive. Let's review this. Okay, here we are. If you're wondering what's with the sun changing the bench, simple reason, we're in the kitchen. That explains the echo. And a bit of a warning in advance, you may hear some meows. The cat has kittens. Enough said. Now, here we have a beautiful crimson lake livery locomotive. And specifically, Duchess of Kent 6212. The 13th and last Princess Coronation. I almost called it a Duchess there. Sorry. And if we have a look here, we see this is R3854. And, well, flip the side of it, we have the power classification and the wonderful history of both the class and, always in the last bit here, the specific locomotive, which I really like. Now, I do believe there are two survivors, correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, one of which is Princess Margaret Rose, and the other one is Princess Elizabeth, now the current Queen. And yes, we do celebrate the birthday of the Queen here in NZ. It's a good holiday. Not taking the mickey out of the monarchy. And that is one tight locomotive sleeve. Wow. Here we have the paperwork. Princess Royals. I'll be actually honest, this is my first proper big LMS loco, so I'm actually kind of nervous. Brake rods, safety notes, and, well, general basics. Lubrication, accessibility. I always hate those darn clips. If Hornby could redo that whole stinking clip system, I would be happy. Body removal, tender, I have to do something to that, I'll explain later. Close coupling and all such. Okay. Put the box and that to one side. Let's get out the detail pack. That's one heck of a big bag for a detail pack, wow. So we got locomotive brake rigging. Shake her about, spread out the details a bit. We've got a front coupler. Let's see. Oh yeah, we got cylinder drain cocks and front steps that are actually very well painted. Look at that, even lined. Oh yeah, and a spare wheel set because, as per usual on Hornby's Pacifics, there's a flangeless set. That's pretty much the big norm for Hornby. I think ever since the 90s. They put a flangeless wheel set on the back of their Pacifics, A3s, A4s, Duchesses, Princesses, and the Bullards. And I think even the Britannias, don't quote me on that. I could be very wrong on the Britannias. Alright. Because there's a bit of grime on the kitchen table. Yeah, screw it. My logo, so I gotta clean it. I just simply lay down this nice protective film, which is spliced in a certain spot, but I don't know. And already, we can tell this is a nice quality loco, just by the look of it. I mean, the cab vent alone, that's cool. I do like that. The coal, it's a bit glossy, but the overtop view looks very good. I like it. And she's heavy. I like that. I really like that. She is a very heavy locomotive. I'm going to sit down properly for this bit, so whether or not this stays in shot, I have no idea. But gently tip her to her side onto this plastic film. Whoops. Buggy wheels. But I like how they fit a NEM coupler on there. That's quite nice. And I'm just looking at the rivet detail on the frames. That is beautifully done. Pipe work, spring work, all that. That's beautifully done. I love that. Oh, the speedo. I think this is a speedo. I don't know. If anyone is a big LMS nut, please comment whether this bit here is the speedo or part of the lubricating system. I honestly haven't a clue. Then again, in the 1920s and 30s, locos really did not have speedos. I think maybe the big Great Western 460s like the Castles, Kings, Saints, and Stars had them. But I don't think any other locomotive did. No. Very nice boiler work. I do love the handrails. The nameplate, I'm just looking at it from all angles and it's beautiful. The gigantic reverser rod, that's actually metal and I'm afraid I might cut myself on that if it's too thin. Oh man, I'm just looking at this from all angles and I'm really loving it. The lining is beautiful. I mean, LMS Crimson Lake in gold lining, that is brilliant. I love it. 7P and the number beautifully illustrated, as well as the LMS and the boiler work and the rivet detail. I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, I'm saying this in a positive light. If I was blind and I would think that is just beautiful braille saying heaven. All right. Now, from this view, if I lean back, I also get a nice look at the underside of it, which I wish I could show, but I currently don't have my locomotive cradle with me. Even then, I do not want to risk the upper body detail. From here, I can see the brake rigging's already added. Nice NEM couplers on both the bogie and the tender. Sprung buffers, as per the norm for any major modeling maker. The wires for the tender and loco are a bit long for my liking, but beggars can't be choosers. The pipe work, very lovely. Even the firebox detail is beautiful. I love that. Shows the washout points and even shows some detail like the dampers. And I don't think many people know what a damper on a locomotive firebox looks like. I have seen that and seen it work. And yeah, it's brilliant. Now, a lot of people that I know of, namely one person whom I know in the UK, I'm not naming names, he really does not like this new Princess, and I simply asked him why, and he says, unlike the older models, or sort of true to form, this rear bogie here is fixed to the firebox. The trailing bogie is fixed to the firebox. And I said, well, you got to think of it from a manufacturing point of view. And he says, oh, I can understand that, but I really hate having those flange wheel sets because it makes it look like the back of the locomotive just swings out like it's drifting. And I told him, you got a fair point, but you have to think it's for the right reasons, the proper tooling, it's a lot cheaper, and in today's world, after all the rubbish that's been happening over the past year, I mean, it's fairly understandable why some manufacturers are going a bit backwards in tooling. even though these were made when, well, just before effectively the world went down the toilet, as it were. Now I'm just having a look up front, and I'm just thinking, beautiful, powerful looking beast. And I just noticed the cab detail as well. Just carefully lift the loco, flip her on her other side to show that side, the fireman's side, I should say. Alright, there we go. Fireman's side's a bit bland. It's a bit bland. It's a bit bland. Oh well. Alright. Now I'll just gently lift her up. And the reason I'm being so careful is this is actually one of my most expensive locomotives ever. I'm at the Centenary A4 set. That cost me about 500 bucks New Zealand money. But that includes carriages, track, a controller, track mat, a whole lot of stuff that comes with the locomotive and carriages. So that evens itself out. Quite nice. This thing though, 445 New Zealand dollars for one locomotive. That's why I was kind of hesitant at getting one of these, even though these and the Duchesses are the same price. Exact same price for 4 different locomotives. And I do say 4. There's this, the BR green version, the Duchess in Coronation streamlined blue, and a de-streamlined one in green. You can easily see why I went for the red. It is striking. It is striking. If there was a BR red one, I'd go for that. But oh well. Now, let's just have a look at the cab detail. And that's brilliant. And the firebox door's open. And looking at it at a certain angle, you can just see the little tiny LED that's in there. That's brilliant. Oh, even the tender's brilliant. Detail's brilliant too. Look at that. I love that. Oh yeah, water trough. I forgot. These days, because of, reasons, everyone will understand. All mainline certified locomotives, I believe, have had the water troughs in them removed. Except the ones at the NRM. I believe those ones still have their water troughs fitted. Like the Lancashire and Yorkshire tank, the V2, and quite a few others. The reason I'll mention why water troughs on locomotives are cool in the tick right after we get this on the layout. Okay, here we have the locomotive on the rolling road that I kind of did a sort of half decent review on earlier on in the year. Now I say half decent because I'm not too pleased with those results, if I'm honest. Oh, if people like it, it's okay. Now, what I was mentioning about water troughs earlier was, as the locomotives travelled for long distance running, they had to refill on water. But instead of stopping at stations and topping up, there were these long metal troughs between the rails where the locos had to scoop in the tender. Excuse me, I'll just slide this forward so you can see better. Where there was a scoop in the tender, and you can probably just see it there. It just dropped between the rails into the scoop, picked up water. You could get about 5,000 gallons in under a minute, easy. And sometimes the water just comes splashing out the cap at the tender and gives the first couple of coaches a good dosing. I would hate to be in the first few coaches doing that. And it was all in the attempts of long distance travel. Now, I'm actually saying this because it's an interesting fact. One of the first attempts of a non-stop run from London to Scotland was not done by the iconic LNER's Flying Scotsman service. No. One of the first attempts was actually done with a Royal Scot, the predecessor of the Princesses, or Lizzies, or however you call them. And, well, it did it with a modified Dealey tender to carry extra coal. But it still had to stop to change crew. Not a bad attempt, though. Now let's see how this locomotive does on the rolling road. First we go forwards, because with the all new motor mounts and all that, There we go. We got a kick. With the new motor placement, I see it's not fully set in the rolling road. That's a bit of a bugger. Just having a look on the other side how it looks. I see. Bugger is sometimes these rolling roads need adjustment. Yeah, I'll do. It's not exactly the best, but sometimes, but oh well. The rolling road though does serve its purpose. And now that we have the Princess up to quite a respectable speed, got a feeling that the firebox glow is now running nicely. So I'll actually just kick the locomotive up to half speed slowly. That is half speed. Now, it is a very interesting new motor set they're doing with this one. But I just grabbed the camera here and show the firebox glow. I don't care whom you are or what, but that is very cool. One flickering firebox, and sorry that the focus goes in and out. Really am sorry about that. Let's see how she does it full chat. Now that was quite loud, and I suspect it's due because Hornby did not expect this to ever be, thrashed. Let's check reverse direction. Okay, I don't know whether or not that's from the rolling road or something else. But, in a way, it is kind of cool. Oh, it is the rolling road. Because in a way it kind of gives you that chuffing beat without having to go to DCC sound. In another way, it's kind of worrying. But like I said, I suspect it's the rolling road that's making the noise. And at the moment, it's got a bit of a fishtail going on with the sideways motion, but yeah, it's going okay. I've heard worse. I'll be honest, I've heard worse from less pleasant locomotives. And just to show a bit of added detail, if I can get her open. Ooh, coal load is removable, but can stick a bit. Put nice mold in that. And I'll just grab the camera again, just to show how the tender looks. Now, I don't know if you agree, but that looks very lovely. That looks lovely. Bit of a concern I got is there are panel gaps at the base of the tender. So, put this back down here. So, if you want to add something like real coal, best option, take the tender body off, bit of a small paintbrush, bit of PVA glue, seal around the bottom of it. That way, as I found out with my Bachmann Ivets Class 2 tender locomotive, you won't have the glue seep into the tender and onto the electrics. And believe me, that is a nightmare to clean up. It is a nightmare to clean up. I had to clean both the inside of the tender, the electrics, and the frames and wheels. That took me 2 days to clean up. And this was before I actually had a proper job, so yeah. Okay, I'll have her on the layout and the tick, and we'll see how she runs on track instead of rollers, which have no resistance. Okay, we have the locomotive on the layout where there is very little resistance compared to the rollers. Well, actually there's more resistance compared to the rollers, which, well, they spin too easily. The rails will give a bit of resistance, so we'll see how better she can crawl. First in reverse, Just gently plunging the juice in. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. That's pretty decent. Now we just turn the juice up a little. Now that's very lovely. And in forward gear, that's still brilliant. Now, let's have it do a few circuits at a loud and see how things go from there. Then we'll take this to the motor club and put it on a passenger train. I have no idea what kind of coaches to use yet, but I'll think of something, as I do not have any LMS coaches that are not suburban stock, and I gotta admit, a princess pulling a rake of suburban coaches, that's a bit ridiculous. So, okay, here we are at the club with the Princess Royal on the head of a simple 5-coach train. Blasted autofocus. And, well, gonna see how well this Loco does on the tough hills. Probably be a good resemblance of Sharp Fell and all that, so let's see how well she runs.